Hello and welcome. My name is Paul Schultz and I will be your host for this TLC session. We are truly excited today for this presentation entitled Encouraging Student Use of Tutoring Support, Where, Why, and How. And we'd like to welcome our presenters today, Millie Jones, Dr. Mary Schuldt, and Kira Hall. And we look forward to your presentation, and I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Paul. Yes, we are your Support You team representing the library, writing center, and tutoring. So today what we want to cover with you is first, what tutoring is available. Second, does it actually work? And third, we want to talk about what students and faculty have to say about our tutoring supports. And then finally, how can you encourage students to use the tutoring supports? And I also want to say that we've created a link to give you at the end of this presentation. It's a link to all of our slides. So we've got some resources available within our presentation. If you wait till the end, we'll give you a link and you'll have these slides and all of the information provided in them. So first, what tutoring is available? Well, Ashford students have subject tutoring, also library tutoring, as well as writing tutoring. These tutoring supports are free to Ashford students, and they're all available right within the Canvas classroom. So we're going to go over these one by one, starting with subject tutoring.
All right, thanks, Millie. Hi, everyone. This is Mary. So let's start with subject tutoring. What is it and how do students access it? Subject tutoring is tutoring that is delivered by subject matter experts, and they will tutor on whatever is relevant to the particular course that the student is in. So if it's a math class, it will be math. If it's economics, it will be economics. It's available online and it's 24/7. We currently have 191 courses that have subject tutoring supports. And there are two ways that students are able to access it, and how they access it will depend on which course they're in. So in 32 courses that are high need courses, the link is actually embedded in the classroom so that the student can self-access. They'll see it on the course homepage. They'll see it in the static navigation bar on the left-hand side of the classroom. And most importantly, they'll see it at every point of need. So it's embedded at every discussion point and every assignment throughout the class. So in a typical undergraduate class, it's in about 15 different places. Now, in an additional 159 courses, students can get subject tutoring if they get a referral from their instructor, the faculty nudge, and this is delivered via email using the Civitas Inspire for Faculty Intervention Library. So all the instructor needs to do is go to the IFF Intervention Library button in the left nav bar of their faculty classroom, find the subject tutoring templates, double check that their class is supported, the list is there so that you can find out, and then email a customized version of one of these subject tutoring templates that are there available for you already. And when the student receives this email, all they'll need to do is click on that hyperlink that's embedded in the email, and that will take them to the subject tutoring platform. So those are the two ways.
All right, thank you, Mary. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about library tutoring and what it can help with. So first of all, library tutors can help students in your course find resources for their assignments. So oftentimes they're required to find scholarly or credible sources for their assignments. And the library tutors in chat can help develop search strategies with the students and come up with keywords that might work for the particular topic. And they will also help with evaluating resources. So they won't actually select any articles or resources for the student on behalf of the student, because really we want to make sure that the student is taking ownership of the assignment and choosing those resources for him or herself. But the library chat can and will assist if needed with evaluating the search results with the student, going over the search results to make sure that what they're looking at is on target and what they're hoping to find and whether they're scholarly, all that kind of stuff. So they can help the student evaluate the sources, but they won't select the sources for them. They can also help students to locate a particular resource in the library. So if a student comes to the library with a citation, the library chat can help with showing them a methodology to find those articles or ebooks or whatever it is in the library. And library tutors can also help with troubleshooting. So if they're not able to access resources in the library or having trouble accessing a database or getting an error message, library tutors can help with any troubleshooting access issues in the library. And finally, they can pretty much help with anything library or research related. They're open and ready to help students with any kind of research or library help that they need. There are two ways for students to access library tutoring. One is on the library homepage. They will see students as they enter the library, they'll be able to see the online chat 24/7 button, and they just click on that and they will be automatically connected to a librarian, a real credentialed MLIS librarian. I will point out they are great librarians, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we do actually monitor quality control on these librarians. I'm actually the manager of reference, and so I oversee reviewing the chat transcripts, and it's a really good service and really high quality support. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, Thanksgiving, Christmas, any day. So from the library homepage, and they also can get a hold of a tutor right on the results page. So if they're doing the searches themselves and they're starting to do their research, they're looking at the search results and they're not seeing what they need, they can actually click on a button right there in their search results page, and there's a chat now button so they can reach out to a librarian right there at the point of need.
Sorry, I was muted. So for writing tutoring, there's a few options available. I want to go through kind of when students should be utilizing these. So first we have our 24/7 live writing tutoring, and that is great for when a student is maybe before they've started the assignment and they have a question about the writing expectations of that assignment, or when they're within the writing process and they have a question about APA formatting, for example, or any type of writing question. That's a great time for students to go into the 24/7 live writing tutoring, and they will get live support from a writing tutor in real time. And then there's the paper review option. This is where a student will submit their paper, and then within 24 hours, they'll get suggestions for revision from a writing expert. So that's a great tool to use for when students have at least a partial draft of a rough draft of their paper or discussion post. And then finally, premium Grammarly account. All Ashford students have access to a free premium Grammarly account. It's an automated program, so they get instant feedback on grammar, punctuation, spelling, those sentence level errors. So that's great to utilize at any time, right? They can use it while they're doing their writing assignment, but certainly before they actually submit it, just to catch those little errors.
Okay, thank you very much, Millie. So you might be asking yourself at this point, or it might occur to you at some point during this presentation, does this actually work? We know a little bit about what the services are, but we want to know, does it work? So I'm going to get into a little bit of the quantitative data with you guys. So we can go on to the next slide. So the first one I want to talk to you about is our library tutoring, and these are the outcomes from April 2016 through September of this year. And so there's a lot of data here, and I'm not going to get too granular with it because the slide deck will be available to you. But as you can see at a glance, we do have the data broken down by different types of information, including the different courses. It lists the pass, fail, and drop rates for various courses, as well as course points earned. I do want to talk a little bit about what some of this data means. So, for example, there are two categories, or actually three categories: user, non-user, and non-user with an asterisk. So the user and the non-user with the asterisk are the ones that are the most closely related. So those are the user obviously is somebody that is actually using the tutoring services, and the non-user with an asterisk is controlled for such factors as they have comparable credits earned and comparable GPAs. So it's a little bit more telling than the non-user that's not controlled for those factors. So when you're looking at the data, the two that are probably the most closely aligned are the user and the non-user with the asterisk. So for example, in this particular case for the library tutoring, the difference between the user and the comparable non-user is a 12% increase in pass rates for those that use library tutoring and an 11% decrease in the drop rate. And there's, like I said, lots of other data there. I'm not going to get into everything. You guys can take a look at that when you have a chance. Here's the writing tutoring outcomes. So the user and comparable non-user, 27% increase in pass rate and a 7% decrease in fail rate. And then also notable on this particular one is a 20% decrease in drop rate. So, you know, that's pretty impressive stuff. So definitely works. So now I'll talk to you a little bit about, did I read the wrong one? That was a paper review. Okay, so that's that's one that's 27%. I think I might have skipped. Did I skip one? Actually that's next, the writing tutoring. Were you showing the writing tutoring slide?
I was just showing the writing tutoring. Just a second.
Sorry guys.
So writing over the paper review.
I skipped ahead.
Yeah.
I had my slide deck in the wrong order. So writing tutoring. Can we go back one? Sorry guys. Don't want to be confused.
No problem.
So yeah, so the writing tutoring, that's the one with the 15% increase in the pass rate and a 13% decrease in the drop rate. I apologize. Okay, now I'll get into the paper review. So the paper review is probably the most stunning difference. I mean, all of them obviously are impressive in the amount of help that they provide to the students and the amount of support that they actually do provide. So this one, like I said, a 27% increase in pass rate, 27%. 7% decrease in fail rate and a 20% decrease in drop rate for those that use paper review. And you can see the course points is really amazing too, the difference in the course points earned between a user and a non-user, 3.10 for the user versus 2.61 for a comparable non-user. So definitely encourage those supports. So I apologize for the confusion on the order there. Last one here is the subject tutoring. So between the user and a comparable non-user, there's a 9% increase in pass rate and a 10% decrease in drop rate. And again, all of the statistics are here for all of the courses. So if you're teaching a particular course and you want to know what difference any of these tutoring services make on your particular course, you could take a look at the slide deck and see what the pass and fail rates and drop rates are. And basically what it all boils down to is using any of these services, any of these tutoring services and supports lead to higher pass rates, lower fail rates, and higher persistence rates.
Awesome. All right, thanks, Kira. So you may have guessed we're a very data-driven department, and we have lots of quantitative data to show the efficacy of tutoring. But what I want to do now is talk a little bit about the qualitative data and specifically what it's like to use tutoring for students, why they like it, and also what it's like for faculty and what instructors are sharing with us. So let's start with faculty. For the sake of time, I'm not going to read this, but I wanted to show you quickly a testimonial that was given to us by Alan Belcher recently. And Alan talks specifically about the great things he's seen with writing supports. He mentions that he's constantly referring students and his instructors to writing supports. And what he sees is sometimes drastic improvements in the quality of the work that is coming back to him. And he mentions that this is not threatening, this is not judgmental, this is only supportive and helpful. So I really wanted to draw attention to that. On the next slide, I wanted to share a testimonial that I got recently about subject tutoring from Sir Basti Dutta. And I just love this testimonial. She describes subject tutoring here as a real blessing. And the reason I think she does this, as you can see in purple in the middle of the screen here, she talks about the professionalness of the tutors, their knowledge, and specifically their eagerness to help her students. But she also goes on to say that they're not just giving the answers to the students, obviously, they're helping them work through the problems, helping them really understand the logic and the math behind their assignments so that they're better able to digest that knowledge and apply it themselves in future assignments too. So that's what faculty have been sharing with us. And now I want to share a little bit about what students think. We regularly survey our students who are using tutoring services because we really want to know what the learner experience is like for them. What you see on the screen right now is the survey results from subject tutoring from the last 30 days. And I have been periodically looking at this survey data every week for the last 6 months or so, and it really doesn't fluctuate very much. We're consistently seeing that students who use subject tutoring are around about the 96-97% recommend rate, really have very positive things to say and consistently thanking the university for offering this extra support. For library tutoring, we see the same thing. Over 90% of respondents say they're extremely satisfied with the answer that they received to the library question. And same thing in writing, tutoring, and paper review. We see lots of appreciation, and 88% said they would use it again. So, okay. Very quickly, a few student testimonials. I think this really speaks to some of the reasons why students like tutoring so much. All tutoring is designed to align with curriculum and complement curriculum, but of course we cannot expect our instructors to be available 24 hours a day. And as you can see in the second quote here from a student who works third shift, it can be extremely valuable to them to be able to reach a tutor at 2 a.m. or whenever it is that they happen to have time to work on their assignment. For library tutoring, we see students really gaining skills, learning how to identify scholarly sources and being taught how to do that from their tutors and being able to apply it to every course throughout their degree program thereafter. So it's fantastic. For writing tutoring, we see a lot of students giving feedback that they really appreciate the reassurance of having a live tutor or having somebody review their paper, because in many cases they haven't had to write in the academic style for many years, and it makes them feel better and know that they're working on creating a much better quality product before they turn it into their professors. I even wanted to share you a testimonial about grammar because this speaks volumes to me. This came from a student who hadn't been in school for 20 years. And let's face it, it's very difficult for those of us who write every day to really remember all of the rules of grammar. So having that service there whenever they need it, cost-free, that seems to be something that they really appreciate too.
So now that we have shown you how effective our supports are, you can feel confident in encouraging your students to use these, and you know that students and faculty both have good things to say about them. So we want to go over a few ways to help you to encourage students to use some of these tutoring supports. Not an all-inclusive list, of course, but these are some things that maybe you haven't considered doing that you might want to apply. So the first one I'll talk about is sharing outcomes of using tutoring. So a lot of the data that we just shared with you, for example, we're going to provide this slide deck for you, so you can certainly pull any of this data for yourself. You can always reach out to us and ask for the most recent data that we have. But letting your students see that data could be a way to show them, hey, this is effective. This will, in fact, help me out. You can also collect and post student testimonials. We just shared a few with you here. Again, you can take these. We assume that maybe you're hearing from students yourself. You can collect some of these and pass them along to the other students that you want to use these tutoring supports. The students feel like, oh, it's not just them, they're not alone in this, and they can see that, oh, their peers are actually benefiting from this as well. So these reviews can be very powerful if you share them with other students. You can also set up an auto reply email. Like Mary was mentioning, students are often working at odd hours, and you may not, as an instructor, you may not be available at all of those hours. So having that auto reply email to let the student know, hey, thanks for reaching out, and I will respond to you. But in the meantime, remember that there are these tutoring options if you need some support immediately, right? Very helpful. Ready-made announcements. So these are announcements that you can post in your Canvas classroom. That means they go out to all of your students, which is really nice. You don't have to one-off them. And what's great is that our team has created some HTML announcements. They're already ready. They're available for you. I've got some links here to some of the library announcements as well as the Writing Center announcements. Again, these links will be available to you after the presentation, so you'll have these. But here's just one example of one that was created. It's a Grammarly announcement. All of the announcements have this really nice visual that we're really proud of, very engaging. And again, it's just a reminder for students to use these supports. And it's a reminder for all of your students. Since you're posting an announcement, it tells all of your students, so you're not singling anyone out. They're available and should be used by all students. Of course, the Civitas IFF nudge, Mary mentioned that early on about subject tutoring. So we want to encourage you to certainly use these nudges to get students to use either the subject tutoring or library tutoring or the writing tutoring or all three of them. We would encourage you to personalize these. The templates are there, but if you can personalize them, that's really helpful because you, as the instructor, you know specifically what the student is struggling with in your course at that particular time. And that way you can tell the student what they need to get help with. That way when they do enter into a tutoring session, the student has a focus. They have an agenda. They can let that tutor know, hey, this is what my instructor has suggested that I work on. And then they can just focus on that particular area. We want to encourage that you limit that to just one or two areas at a time. The student can easily get overwhelmed, and we really like it when the session can be very focused. The students can use these tutoring supports as often as they like, so just limiting it to one or two things for a single session is really much more beneficial, remembering that learning is incremental. It needs to be done step by step by step. Also, similar to the auto reply, you can include links to the tutoring supports right in your signature line. And that way, every time you send out an email, there's a link right there. It's good to just sort of constantly remind students that those supports are there. And again, it's not singling out a student. It's for all students. All of your students are going to see these. And here are just a couple of examples. So the first one that I have here, it would be a signature line for a course that does include the subject tutoring, right? This would be an example of for a statistics course, right? All of those listed there. But if you're teaching a course that doesn't offer the subject tutoring, you would just have the two links, the library tutoring link as well as the writing tutoring link. And then creating a checklist for recommendations for success. As an instructor, you know what it takes to be successful in your particular course. So you're really the expert in creating a checklist of success strategies. We would love it if you could include the tutoring services in this checklist, since we have shown that they are so beneficial, and students are, staying in courses longer. They're improving their GPAs. They're getting better grades. They're learning from these. So this would be a great recommendation if you provided a checklist for success. What is the service? Telling the student why they need it, how it will benefit them is really helpful. I think there was something else I wanted to say there, and I'm not remembering it right now. So we do want to remind you and encourage you to reach out to all of your students about the tutoring supports. Tutoring is not just for those who are struggling or on a course or for a particular assignment. Tutoring does not mean remedial, right? Even experts seek out mentors and coaches to help them succeed, to help them improve step by step. And we really feel that tutoring should be part of every student's learning process. So telling all of your students to take advantage of these tutoring supports is wonderful.
All right, thank you, Millie. And we just want to end this session by hopefully you guys sharing your own ideas in the chat. What ways have you guys used to encourage tutoring supports in the past, or just basically telling us what's worked for you, and we could all kind of learn from each other. Maybe some methodologies that are either in this presentation or something that you've developed on your own. We would love to hear from you, or even if you wanted to share what you're thinking about using in the future. That would be great too. So don't be shy. Go ahead and if you feel comfortable, share your thoughts in the chat, please.
Hey, Kira, there is a question from Jessica Canelli.
I missed that. Let me see here. Jessica. Yeah. Okay, yes. So she's asking, it'd be beneficial to help students learn how to use all of the tutoring services while I walk them to class before school starts. What do you recommend I highlight the most? Oh, that's a great question. So we actually have, there's tutorials on all of our different types of supports, and you can see those tutorials. I believe, Mary and Millie, tell me if I'm wrong, but those tutorials are available on the CETL pages, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Yes, so we have links to our different CETL pages, and I really recommend ESAs. I think that's a really good resource to point them to during the walk to class, because it kind of really provides a nice overview of all of our tutoring services and what students can expect during that interaction, and what what kinds of benefits they can receive from that. But again, any other questions you guys have, please put them in chat. But also, I am seeing that there isn't much activity yet, and I'm hoping that we can get some from you guys as far as what strategies you've used in the past to encourage tutoring supports, and what you're planning on using in the future. We would very much appreciate that, as well as any other questions that you have. All right, and see that the out of office reply is a good one. So Barbara says that you're encouraging students to use the tutoring to earn a higher grade, which is good. And as we showed, statistics definitely show that they do earn higher grades by using the services. So it's definitely a good thing to point out to your students. And I love that we have some advisors joining us today, because you guys are such an important partner in spreading the word to students to use these supports. So yes, we're very glad that you're doing that, and we thank you very much for encouraging students to use our supports. Oh, that's a good idea. In-class discussions too. Jennifer was saying that she reminds them in the discussions. Paul, that's a great question. So it has been piloted in a few courses. Paul's asking about having tutoring required in a course. So there are some courses that require things like paper review. There's actually a couple that have recently started requiring library chat sessions. We're piloting that right now and seeing how it goes. But the time that kind of requirement would be added is during the course revision process, and you would work with your library liaison or your writing center liaison to get that requirement put into the course. You know, it would be kind of like stakeholders, everyone kind of weighing in and deciding, you know, whether that course would be a good fit for that type of a requirement, because we wouldn't want to just, you know, be putting them in all sorts of courses, because of course it's going to increase traffic, and you know, there's a lot to it, but which is good. We want to increase traffic, but we just want to make sure that we're able to provide that level of support for that particular course. So it is something we would definitely visit during the course revision process or course development process for new courses. Okay, so Barbara is saying she uploaded resources to weekly announcements and used private email to recommend specific student usage. That's great. Yeah, that's really, really great.
We've got about a minute left.
Yeah. Does anyone have any last minute questions? I appreciate your insights. We all do. We really appreciate you guys weighing in and sharing your thoughts. And again, one thing to point out here, Millie, I think you were going to take this last slide, but I'll just say quickly that please do use this supportyou@ashford.edu email address after the session if you have any questions, because we will route to, if it's a library specific question or a writing specific question, we'll get it to that particular person and make sure that we are able to answer any questions you have. Millie, did you want to say anything else?
No, and Mary just put in the link for our slides here in the chat box. So if you want to grab that, that might be a great resource for you. It has all of the resources such as, hey, does my course offer subject tutoring? You can see the list of courses that have that. That's a good one. And then some of the data that we have, the testimonials, if you want to pull from any of those. Of course, our support you email is there as well. But we definitely always want to hear from you. So please reach out to us, recommendations, issues that you're having, questions you have. We are here for you.